Hey Star Trek fans, welcome back to part 2 of our Star Trek Nemesis phaser build. So I've just sort of put everything in place with the electronics. I haven't glued anything, I haven't finished the body, but just kind of give you an idea of how it's going to look and how it's going to sound. So I've got just the button sitting here on top of the electronics pad. So these are your up and down and fire button. So this is what it looks like on the panel. And then I can fire. And the volume you see, it's not very loud, but there's the emitter coming out. And I can put it in diagnostic mode there. And you can still fire with it like that, which is kind of interesting. And the button pressing is like really quiet, and I've seen some where you can hear the clicks, but with the button pad in there, it keeps it kind of silent. So you don't have to keep pressing, you can actually press and hold, and it'll turn it down. And once all the lights are off, it's actually off, so you can't press the trigger or anything. One of the buttons just fell out. So anyways, so just give you a breakdown of how it looks like. So there's your control board to do the up and downs for the power settings. There's your light board underneath. And oh, I did forget to show you guys this one thing. So here's the cowl. So when you open it up, you have that's your supposed to be your energy levels within the phaser. And again, I do have to put this magnet right in here. I'm going to have to embed it. So when you close the cowl, when it touches the back board, it's supposed to turn the light off. I just have to find out where that point is, and I'll figure it out when I get there. But I'll have to take it apart and fiddle around with it, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'll just turn it off here. So here's where your circuit board goes in. I'm just going to take this cowl out. There's your emitter, the LED display. Take that out. There's your speaker. So I'll probably hot glue that in there before I put everything together and do my final Bondo and paint job. So here, let me just turn that on for a sec. So here's I guess I have to put that on the bottom because I see the rod is, oh, it's right there. So it hits there. When it closes, it turns those lights off. So if you don't put that in, what's going to happen is when you have the cowl closed, you'll see the light through the cracks, which is what you don't want. So I have to do a little bit of sanding down just to kind of get these boards in here properly before I give them a quick tack job with the hot glue gun. And then once all that's done, then I'll do fill the crack seal with the Bondo, make it look like one unit. If you get this upgrade kit, you'll have to drill a hole in here like I did there, enough to fit these 3 connectors through one at a time. You just kind of have to bend them sideways and just kind of feed them through. And again, you get your power switch and your charging port. And I do have to shave some of this rubber handle down because you can see here it gets in the way of the battery. So I have a little bit of room here that I can shave some of that rubber down. So let's I'll go ahead and I'll glue all this together, like put all the I'll hot glue all these components into the actual hand phaser, and then I'll glue this piece into here and add Bondo on it, and we'll come back and take a look at it, and then we'll start on with our paint. Okay, we're back here. I kind of went a little further and did more than what I was planning to do. I did do the whole body. I was having a lot of problems with this because of the Bondo here that I have. I couldn't understand why it wasn't working the way that it was supposed to. So, you know, most guys, we don't like to read instructions. So I decided to read the instructions when I figured out it wasn't working. And apparently I need sunlight. And considering we're into the tail end of November here, and I'm in kind of the southern western part of Canada, we don't have a lot of sun right now, so it's mostly really cold. So I had to improvise. I ended up using model glue, but I'm not really happy with the way that this turned out. But you know what? I've pissed around with this too long now, so I think I'm just going to cut my losses and just kind of deal with these imperfections there, because you know what? Yeah, I really don't care. The most challenging part of doing this was actually having to paint everything when it was already put together. That had to be the hardest part. Now, if I were to do this without the electronics upgrade, I probably would have painted each part first, or you know, no, maybe I'd put it all together. It'd probably be a lot easier, because then, you know, I've got some edges here that didn't kind of paint right, and I might want to do this again before I completely put this together. So we're almost at our final stages. This is the final paint job, and here's our cowl with our nozzle on there. So we're going to put all these together. I got the reader switch in there. I've got to put in the emitter, which is here ready to go. And one thing I did forget to mention is one thing you are going to need. Part of your parts is a 2-part epoxy, and I never said that in the first part of the video for the parts list. So that's another piece of equipment you're going to need. So we're going to put a 2-part epoxy. We're going to put that on the rubber strip, which is just going to go here. And the button pad will just rest on top of the electronic component here, and the plastic part will glue on top of this part here, and then I will do a glue on the buttons. I'll do a 2-part epoxy glue on the buttons onto the keypad, and then once that's done, we'll go ahead and we'll plug our main computer component back in, and I'll probably hot glue that in. One thing I did notice though, you do have to be careful with these wires that come through. So I was trying to put the cover back on, and I was putting the screws through, and it wasn't going through too good, and the screws were actually the wires were sitting right over here, so I was trying to screw the wires in through there. Not a good idea, so I tried to hot glue it over there. It wasn't really working too good, so I might just, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll put some electrical tape or something over that just to kind of keep them sideways. So anyways, I'm going to repaint this one section up here that kind of got messed up, and so I'll put it all together, and we'll come back in, I guess, this is part 2 of the video. So part 3 will be the final phaser completely put together. So there we have it. Part 2 is now complete.